If you want to make sure you don't waste your time in your career, watch this video where I'm going to talk about the 6 only hacks I know of for career success. If you get them right, it doesn't really require that much more work on your part. But if you get them wrong, it doesn't matter how hard you work, you cannot outwork these mistakes. Hey, what's up? My name is Michael. I'm a first generation college student and American who broke into tech with no experience. Now I'm helping the next generation and really any generation have the best careers. And I'm going to be using the metaphor of horses. Why horses? Because it's the perfect metaphor. A horse is outside of you. So it's not, these hacks are not within you. Rather than hacks or lessons, these don't really require your own knowledge or work. And they are things that you ride outside of you. And lastly, the real reason is I stole this idea from a book called Positioning by Alan Rice. If you're into marketing, I recommend this book, but randomly in the book, he starts going off on some career advice, which I thought was useful. And I don't think anybody else has talked about. And I want to start with something he says in this book, which is the truth is the road to fame and fortune is rarely found within yourself. The only sure way to success is to find yourself a horse to ride. It may be difficult for the ego to accept, but success in life is based more on what others can do for you than what you can do for yourself. So obviously this isn't a 100% true statement. Some success lies in you, but also it lies in the outside world. So you just want to address both. Rely on your own courage and discipline, but also rely on what the outside world can offer you. The first horse is the blue horse, which is the company that you work for. The most underrated, but arguably one of the most important decisions you make is the company that you work for. If you work for a company that isn't going anywhere, you can't really outwork that company. Is that company going anywhere? Are they doing big things? It doesn't matter how hard you work if the company isn't growing. They're not going to be able to promote you if there's no new roles to promote you within. It's like going to work at the Titanic. The ship is going to sink. That's cool that you brush shoulders with Leonardo DiCaprio on day 1, but now it's day 5 and the water is getting cold. Now, it's notoriously hard to predict a company's success. It's basically just like picking a stock. When you're picking a stock, you're picking whether that company is going to be successful in the future. Even people whose job it is to pick winners, people in venture capital who pick startups and say these ones are going to be the ones who are going to be successful, they're wrong most of the time. So here are some quick tips about if you're going to work for a company, whether they're going to be growing or not. First off, the industry. Are they an AI, biotech, climate tech? Is it an industry that's growing? Or if you're going to work for a marketing agency, is that marketing agency on the cutting edge? Are they using AI? Are they doing creative things in marketing? Number 2, does the company have lots of investment? If it's a new company, it's a startup, is it backed by big funds, Amazon's fund, Microsoft's fund? Just does it have millions and billions of investment behind it? 3, is the company growing and making moves that are obvious to everybody else? So are they in the news? Are articles being written about them, about what they're doing? And then just use your intuition. Intuition and your gut feeling is relevant. So go with your gut as well. The second horse is the red horse, which is your manager. Is the person you're going to work for, are they going anywhere? Do you admire them? Are they intelligent, bright? Do you look at their life and think, okay, I'd be okay if my life turned out like theirs? Nearly every success story, someone will mention someone that they worked for, that they came in contact with, and the manager you work for can determine how much you learn, what projects you take on, and whether you're successful in that company. And again, there's trade-offs here. Maybe the company isn't like crazy growing well, but if the manager is, and if the manager is making moves, then you might want to work for them. I'm not going to give you a bunch of tips on this. Just use your intuition. Look at that individual. Is that person learning, reading books? Lots of managers, lots of people in companies, they're kind of in maintenance mode. They're not really growing anymore. They're not pushing themselves. So you just want to work for someone who is pushing themselves, who's learning. You want to work for someone who is growing and you will grow with them. Number 3 is the yellow horse. The yellow horse is your friends, primarily your business friends. What we talk about in this day and age is networking. So that's awesome. You have your friends you hang out with on the weekend, but you also need friends who are growing, who are pushing themselves as well. The same guidelines for your manager go for your friends. Do you admire them? when you look at the life that they live, would you be okay living that life? Would you be okay making the amount of money they make, looking like they look? Just a few months ago, I made these friends where I didn't have them before. I just moved to Phoenix. As you can tell, there's like nothing in that corner. I'm still like furnishing the apartment. And I met people through networking events. I used Luma is a good website for local events, Eventbrite. I even used Bumble Biz, where you can meet individuals who are also networking. I signed up for events where even I wasn't like one was for startups and seed like funding for startups, which I don't have a startup. I'm not looking for funding. I signed up for that, but I didn't end up going because I got sick. Literally, this event was last week. I paid $100 for it, wasn't able to go because I got sick. But the lesson is it didn't matter to me that I'm not in the startup space right now. I don't have a SaaS product. I'm not looking for funding. I'm not technically a founder, but I signed up for this event because, hey, I can still meet people. I could say, hey, I create content. I do some freelance marketing. I'm just looking around maybe for my next role at a startup. Just go in with something about yourself as to why you're there. It could be you're just looking to meet new people, and that's a good enough reason, honestly. The other thing is you want to keep in touch with these people regularly. You don't always have to text them and say, hey, how's it going? My favorite way to do this is to just send them an article or a video. Hey, I saw this. I thought you'd get use out of this, that this would be relevant to you, and you just send it to them. That's way better than saying, hey, how's it going? And now they have to respond to you. Hey, I've been doing good. How are you? Like, just send them an article. Hey, hope you've been doing good. Saw this, thought of you. And they could say, oh, cool, thanks. I'll check it out. Bam. You're still you're still like keeping that relationship warm, and you're giving them something. Hey, I thought about you, and here's this thing. You're giving them some value, and you're not requiring them to like engage in a whole conversation. It could be once every like 3 months, 6 months. That's still okay for people that are just acquaintances. The fourth horse is the orange horse, which is an idea. A great idea is something you can ride to success. Now, there's a great part of the book where he says people sometimes expect too much from an idea. They want one that is not only great, but everyone else thinks is great too. So when you have a great idea, especially if it's new, other people are not going to understand it. You have to stick your neck out and put yourself on the line and believe in that idea. And if everybody accepts an idea as great, it could be too late for that idea. It means everybody else already knows about it. It could also mean that it truly is a great idea, but you just can't always look for validation outside of you. Other people may not see that vision you have, which takes us to the white horse, the fifth horse, or cinco, which is Spanish for five, which brings me to our sponsor of this video, Duolingo. They didn't respond to the email. Okay. They didn't sponsor this podcast. So we'll stick with the fifth horse, which is faith. Faith in your idea, in yourself, in your company, and the people around you. So as you're doing all this work, you're going to have doubt, which is natural. And sometimes it's warranted. Sometimes it's good to have doubt so that way you can re-examine your ideas. But other times, having faith in an idea and someone else's idea is relevant. And the example he gives in the book is Ray Kroc. He wasn't successful until he was 52 years old when he met the McDonald's brothers, and he had more faith in McDonald's than they did have in themselves. They were just like, yeah, we have this restaurant. I think there were maybe a couple or a few of them. But he saw how amazing of an operation it was and how much potential it had. So he partnered with them, ultimately purchased McDonald's, and now it's they make billions. So that's the lesson in having faith in your idea or someone else's idea. And sixth is the black horse, which is yourself. I call this the black horse because sometimes we always feel like a black sheep. You feel like, you're different from everybody else. So that's why I call it the black horse. And this is like a weird thing because you do need to rely on yourself at the end of the day. In a way, all you have is yourself. But in another way, we are social animals. Career, life, business, these are all social activities. There's a quote which is 80% of our problems talk back. It's all people. And lots of people react to this and say, oh, then I'm not going to rely on people. But that's not how great things come about. You're watching this video on a machine somebody else created, on a platform somebody else created. You bought it with money that somebody else gave you, doing a job that somebody else trained you on. I didn't create YouTube. I didn't make these clothes. And I'm speaking in a language that I did not even come up with. So, although you need to be comfortable within yourself, confident within yourself, bring out the courage from within yourself, understand that we do nothing alone and nothing gets accomplished alone. The greatest things in life come from collaboration. And this isn't some kumbaya thing about how we need to hold hands and be a community. This is just the reality of life. So understand that you ultimately will need to get help from other people. And so those are the horses. And the last thing that I will say is notice what is not on the list: job title, salary. These things aren't going to determine your success. Some of the greatest entrepreneurs did not care what their job title was. And especially in entrepreneurship, if that's what you decide to go down, you don't make a lots of money in the beginning. Also, a degree doesn't matter. Tons of entrepreneurs, they all had all sorts of degrees. Paul Graham's degree was like in art history. So ultimately, you want to surround yourself by things that are on the up and up. A surfer finds a wave that's good and rides it. And that's what you are trying to do, is find the good waves. As Ralph Waldo Emerson said, hitch your wagon to a star. So that's the video. If you found this helpful, please like. It helps the video in the algorithm, gets more people to see this, and helps me make more videos. And if you have a question, please comment below. I will answer every single comment, and follow to find fulfilling work.